Oh boy, what's a trading day, honestly. Wow. Wow, what a trading day. So today overall I took a loss. But yeah, I took the trade, so let me, cover everything up. So today price action was incredibly weird and iffy and choppy. And yeah, I'm going to show you. So let's actually start with the USD because I kept my eye on this. Today I was earlier on the charts already at Asia session, because yeah, I couldn't sleep this night, so I didn't sleep at all. And yeah, this means at 6 a.m. or something like that, 4 a.m., 6 a.m. I started to monitor the markets and I tried to find my bias. The thing is, before I was getting down here, um, I didn't know if it's going to go to the downside or upside. Because before I was getting down here to this key level, um, was kind of double biased because as you can see it's very iffy, and yeah, I know the price is was like relatively strongly going to the downside, but the thing is this whole move overall, it's pretty choppy. I mean, look at the wicks, and perhaps then you kind of get the you know the what I'm seeing, you get the idea. So I was getting down here and I actually wanted to see a closure below it because I was more likely to be bearish. But then, it was closing at the 1 hour. I have to say, before the 1 hour was closing, I was looking at it. I, almost intuitively wanted to go long because of the sweep of a, very major swing point. But I did not because, that's something which I observed from myself in the past of my trading behavior. And this time I was doing it differently. Like if it's going down on the low time frame, it's like kind of bearish to wait for the confirmation for a reversal, especially when when it's pretty choppy and if there's like not enough confirmation in the high time frame. So I was waiting and I actually closed below it also on the 50 minutes. And then, I was like, okay, you know what? It closed below it, but I'm going to wait for the 1 hour candle closure because it's still like too poor confirmation, too choppy to kind of have like a bias. I waited for the 1 hour candle to close. It closed it, and of course, maybe the next candle would close below it. But the thing is, after that, as you can see, it just spiked to the upside, and there was no, you know, no setup, no trading entry whatsoever. And then on the top, it was doing the complete opposite. It spiked to the downside. It's actually close above this swing high. So the thing is, from that, this kind of changed my bias clearly to bullish. Because this aggressive spike, it looks like a change of character. Now, at this scenario overall, with the market conditions, I have to say I can't really rely 100% on that. But I'm more likely to be bullish on that because of this, straight closure above it. But the problem is, it's like it just looks like a manipulation, like very unclean overall. So I was then going to AUD USD, and there was like something similar going on. We had here a break of structure, very cool. It was going down here to the support level. It didn't sweep any swing low, but it was for me enough that it actually got to the support level, was going up again, the retracement. So it made perfectly sense. Support level, retracement. So I wanted to take a short. Um, so I was scaling down to the 5 minutes, and then on the 5 minutes, I was watching the price. I saw here the swing high. This isn't really a swing high, it's just like, consolidation, but with your swing high, was going down, up again. We had here for value gap. I actually wanted, to enter off that, but then, as I mentioned from the earlier reflection on, how I used to trade or how I used at least to behave in my entries in the past, also, aligning with the losses, I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to enter because it's not high probability, it's more of a risky zone because we don't have clear confirmation. This alone, it might be look. It is a point of interest, but I'm still missing confirmation on the 5 minutes. To enter off that. So I was waiting for this to getting filled out. So I wanted to see validating this fair gap, going down to this fair gap, validating this one as well, and then going up and sweep the swing high, waiting maybe a little, and then enter off that. I was going up, I entered off that because the first time I was like literally a double top, and then it swept it, was going down. I entered off that, a bit more on the bottom, and yeah, then I kind of wanted to target this the Asia lows, which is actually leading back to this support level, this relatively strong support level. It was consolidating, and then actually it closed above this, let's say the little buy side on here. I forgot how this is called, but it's actually like some kind of strategy tool. I just forgot it. In other words, it's like a different way to kind of see, the power of free AMD, like the consolidation and the manipulation right there. And at this point, where I kind of saw the candle closure above this and it was going down, it looked to me like pretty well, like at least a valid enough confluence that the probability is not that low, or at least high enough that I can expect to go to the downside. Not like very, very high probability, but still high enough of, this view of confirmation which I have right there. But the thing is, you know, I was getting pretty choppy. I got subbed out, I saw Asia highs. And to be honest, at this point, um, yeah, it can happen getting subbed out. But the thing I want to say is like overall how I could have prevented myself, because I wouldn't particularly put it on my analysis or strategy. It is more like to think like that. So okay, it's been already very choppy markets. We have at least seen like one break of structure, or in other words change of character. But the problem is overall that's like literally the only confirmation, and overall we are like missing a lot. Yeah, we also have the support, but besides that, when we see, it's like pretty iffy overall. I mean, only go to the 4 hours and you kind of get the assignment. Like we only have like again like on the 4 hours the support, because we have here for Relica, which got disrespected. So overall it's still iffy. So if I wanted to be like literally on the safer side, like avoiding completely at least even like a part of the danger zone, just to not take a trade at all, because the market conditions also from the even for the previous day like this together, even if I have like some at least some kind of confirmation with some kind of substance, it's still like it's not enough, because again on the 1 hour it wasn't very very strong. At least it was enough to kind of have like some to not look completely like a danger zone. But yeah, it happened. So at this point, getting soaked up by that, I would say the probability, as I mentioned, it's not zero, it's not low. I would say it's 60-40, something like that. And looks like the 40% one, I got subbed out, and yeah, it happens. And then I was taking a look back. Then I was like a bit, frustrated, not because of the loss, but because how the choppy the markets were. And then I was looking at USDCHF, and I saw here, a sweep of the swing low. Yeah, I mean it's still consolidating, but the thing is, from this crazy price action, we kind of formed here support, which is being held so far. And I took it, but then closed immediately because it was kind of foolish, and I didn't, and there was like too much uncertainty for me. So I was going to the Nasdaq. I just wanted to see if I kind of can prepare myself for later, and for London session open in case if there's some kind of setup. But overall, it still kind of looks choppy to me. It's like a similar problem. Now, what I see here is that we have here swing low, which got swept on the 4 hour on the 1 hour as well. So perhaps we could expect a reversal. If not, it happened with this move. It also could be like more likely bearish base, because sorry, bearish bias, because this sweep could only cause price to go up to get into this 1 hour fair gap, which fit kind of very well, like some sort of confluence. And then I also was looking on the 5 minutes, with this as a this everything to combined. I was she kinda, sweeping this high. Not very, not the cleanest, but it was technically a sweep. When we got to the 1 minute, we kind of see it. But I personally, I wouldn't have entered off that, to be honest. But as soon as it was going down, then I would have, would kind of look for retracing or some sort of that to re-enter, or like not re-enter, to enter off that, in case if there's like some kind of point of interest after with the confirmation with this kind of closure below that. So yeah, actually we had here Favela gap. I actually entered off that, as you can see. It was very ambitious, but because we are on the 1 hour, I can put my stop loss, more on the top here, and it's still like not that big on the 5 minutes if you get me. And I actually targeted the candle this swing out, to be honest, this key level on the 5 and 50 minutes, but I actually ended up targeting only the candle close of the bottom because I already, lost it. I was kind of fooling too much around, and I had to make some kind of damage control, because, I took the loss on that. Now, the loss here is unfortunate, but I have to be honest to myself, I slightly I over risked a bit. I slightly over risked, not completely, but I slightly over risked, which is not the problem. But with that, I just fucked up. Okay, I just had to admit that I fucked up. So I did the damage control with that. So this means today we are at the loss. We could decrease it from from almost 3% to less than 1%. By correct the loss. And by the way, it also gave me a bit of confidence, or a bit more, like self-belief, or like kind of removes the uncertainty overall with the Nasdaq, because I never like seriously focused locked in was trading any futures or indices. So this was it's like basically like one of the first time. Also successful, by the way. Yesterday I took an L on the futures, but to be honest, it's fine because I'm learning it, like to get used to it, because it's moving differently than for foreign exchange. So even if we took an L today, fortunately, we could do damage control. Well, technically, it's actually less than 1% because, the thing is, I took a little scalp in the more like in the Asia session. This explains this Fibonacci right there. Like, wait, hold on. I mean, we had your break of structure. Then I was going to the 5 minutes swing high, swing low, Fibonacci. As you can see, for value gap, it was getting to this premium level right there. I think this is called OTZ or OTE. I didn't know that's that kind of confluence of this confirmation, or like tools or whatever, or actually called that, but whatever. And I was entering a very quick scalp of a very small lot size. So yeah. So technically, if I wouldn't have taken this trade, then today the loss would have been like very small. Um, yeah, but again, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Um, because, phew, dude, you have no idea. I was like actually about to be like super depressed, and now it's like halfway depressed. Nah, I'm joking. But yeah, it's also good to see that I was able to trade, the Nasdaq successfully. It was relatively risky, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting somewhere. Okay, I actually feel like I'm getting somewhere. The only thing I could have said here with AUDUSD is that I'm not taking this trade at all. But to be honest, at this point, I think at this point it's like the risk is more because in the previous charts the market conditions are relatively choppy. Okay, but still overall it's not a trade where I regret or something like that, because other trades I wouldn't say regret, but I'm like, okay, this was a stupid decision because this is some kind of point of interest or entry model which doesn't really make sense. But at this point, I have to say it makes sense to me, but I just could, stepped out. It happens, okay? The only thing which I could have done better is not to take this trade at all. But overall, I don't regret this. I don't regret this trade. Finally, a straight sentence. So yeah, I'm actually curious if this is going to play out because I was just seeing the strong, 1 hour support, sweep, blah blah blah. And also all the bearish Favela gaps already got validated, so there's particularly nothing in the way which might push it to the downside in terms of the charts on the 5 minutes, and I think even 50 minutes. Oh, that's like, yeah, that's a small one, but yeah, that's okay. But yeah, this was now a lot of yap. Damn. Actually, the first time, or at least from a long time, to train successfully NQ. I actually targeted this swing low, but again, I didn't want to, play balls too hard because also I'm new on that. But it's good to see that it looks like it's working out. By the way, this could be, if you ask me, TP TP1, TP2. Oh wait, it doesn't work right now. My account is too small because the margin is taking up the whole, the whole account from on the Nasdaq because the price is so high. Um, but yeah, don't worry, it's not over risking because when it's going like to this is like I don't know the this stop here this stop right there is like I think 0.5%. Uh, yeah, something around that. Actually, less than that, in terms of stop. So it's chill. It's very chill with the Nasdaq. Honestly, it's very very chill with the Nasdaq. But yeah, this was a trade recap today. Very, wow, very volatile trading day, I have to say. But very very grateful that I was able to, do some damage control. And also, by the way, see the observation and improvements because I promised you earlier I would have just acted on my impulse and entered off here. Genuinely. It's so we are getting somewhere because this has to work, and if it actually means something, then you have to also, treat it also in a professional way, in a professional manner. So yeah, with that being said, cheers.